views expressed on this program are those of the hosts, guests, and callers, and are not necessarily those of this station, its management, or other advertisers. You're listening to Transformation Talk Radio.
Welcome to the transformative show, We Carry the Light, with host Dr. Susan Allison, the show that inspires you to find the light within and shine your light in the world. Who are you right now? And who do you want to be? What is it that makes you happy, helps you feel fulfilled, and living your purpose? Tune in and let Dr. Susan help you discover that you carry the unique light that only you can shine. Now, here is your host, Dr. Susan Allison.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to We Carry the Light. I am Dr. Susan, and I'm so glad you're here. I know I say that every week, but I would not be here without you. So thank you, my wonderful, wonderful fans and listeners. Many times I've talked with you about the name of the show, about being light beings and light workers. And most of the guests that I have on my show, as you know, are light workers in the world. So I also have told you about how my belief is that we are made of light, and all energy, according to quantum physics, is densely packed light. I've also told you I can go into trance and spirit travel to what I call a level of heaven, including all the spirit realms. But today we're going to be talking about this level of heaven. This is where I meet with my soul family, divine teachers, and my loved ones, like my husband and my mother. And while I'm there, I often see other spirits as light. And I also have gone to a city that I call the Silver City, where everything is in shades of blue and silver. And there are beings that are floating around me that are very wispy and in varying degrees of light. I also have even become light when I'm doing this shamanic journey work in a process called transfiguration. When I'm spending time with my husband in this as I call it, a level of heaven in the upper world, I can rise up into light with him, and we can even become dolphins and swim in a magical sea. It's incredible. During these 2 years since his passing, and most of you, as my regular listeners know, I've talked about his death many times with you, his transition. But while I visit him and come back here, I hear messages from him, and I hear them almost daily. So he's transitioned now from my soulmate and lover to my wise guide and my guardian. His words to me are always true, and I mostly follow them. If I don't, then I regret it usually. I look back and go, oh, he did say that, and I didn't listen. But I would say 99% of the time I listen to what he shares. So you've also heard me say how excited I am that my book is finally coming out. On December 1st, it'll be in bookstores. And the title, You Don't Have to Die to Go to Heaven. And it's all of these journeys I've taken over 22 years. And I, in the book, teach you how to journey to spirit worlds and to meet with your loved ones, to know that you are immortal, there is no death, and you can find out easily where your loved ones are. So you can also pre-order my book if you go to Amazon and just type in the title, You Don't Have to Die to Go to Heaven. Lots of people are already pre-ordering it. So because of my ability to shamanic journey and go to all these spirit realms, I know from direct experience that there are multiple dimensions of reality around us, below us, above us, everywhere. There are these multiple dimensions, and as embodied humans, we just can't see them, but all of these spirit beings are here and are surrounding us with love. We can only connect with them. I know that death's not the end. I know we're immortal. I know life is infinite and ever expanding. So because of my shamanic travel since 1993, which involves visiting heaven and many other realms, I resonate beautifully with Eric Medhus in his description of the afterlife. This is in his mother's book, My Life After Death, a memoir from heaven. Eric's words and experiences were channeled through a medium, and then his mother recounted his story in the book. Here's what I most related to in this book. All the light everywhere. I just saw it also, as Eric describes it, multiple dimensions or levels in the spirit world. The oneness and love instead of separation, so that souls have jobs in heaven, and my husband has told me his job. Eric tells us his. That we continue to grow after our passing, that we can receive messages from departed loved ones by being open to receive them right now. And Eric even speaks of how souls can make love energetically, and I've also experienced this with my husband when we're together in this level of heaven. So talk about preaching to the choir. This book so resonated. I read it so fast and absorbed it and loved it because I've also experienced it. So I feel especially honored to have Eric's mother, Elisa Medhus, the author of My Life After Death, on the show today. Elisa Medhus, a physician and mother of 5, has practiced internal medicine in Houston, Texas for over 30 years. After the death of her 20-year-old son, Eric, Dr. Medhus began journaling her grief in her blog, Channeling Eric. She knew that only in helping others could she heal herself. Because of her strong science background, she formerly viewed spiritual matters such as soul survival after death with skepticism. But once Eric began to communicate with family, friends, and blog members, her entire paradigm shifted. After devouring various books on quantum physics, like I did, explaining the science behind spirituality, Dr. Medhus is no longer a skeptic. Now she channels Eric through a medium, asking him questions about death, the afterlife, and so much more. As her blog members join her in the journey towards spiritual understanding, Eric continues to offer not only his insight as an insider on the other side, but also adds some comic relief with his mischievous pranks. And he shares his personality very clearly in the book. It's really, really delightful. She shares her journey in her book, My Son and the Afterlife, Conversations from the Other Side. Eric has authored his own book, My Life After Death, which we'll be talking about today. In addition to her 2 books about Eric, Dr. Medhus is also the author of the 3 award-winning parenting books, Raising Children Who Think for Themselves, Hearing is Believing, How Words Can Make or Break Our Kids, and Raising Everyday Heroes. Let's welcome Elisa Medhus. Hi, Elisa.
Hi, Susan. You make me blush. Oh, shucks. Thank you for that wonderful, wonderful introduction.
You're welcome. It's all true. It's all true. I love it. I didn't cut one thing out of your bio because I thought it was all so great.
Oh, that's sweet. Well, you don't know all my flaws like my children do.
Boy, our children sure know them, don't they?
Oh, yes.
Oh, yes. And they're, at least for me, they're my teachers as well.
Oh, certainly. They make us better people.
They sure do. So I'm so happy to have you on the show and to help all the people listening whose loved ones have transitioned. The book really, I know that book and your other one also help people who've lost, and I won't use the word lost since Eric says they're not lost. They are still here, just in a different form, he says in the book. So tell me a bit about your experience with Eric for the first time, because I know you have a medical background. Were you shocked when he began communicating with you, or you began feeling his energy or seeing him?
Well, I think the biggest shock came 3 days after his death, when my father, a militant atheist, I mean really hardcore atheist, called me on the phone, and he sounded very panicky. He told me he was sitting in his chair, reading his book or newspaper, and he looked up, and there was Eric standing in front of him. And then Eric turned into his little boy self and crawled up to his lap. So my father was so shocked and so startled, he didn't know what to believe. Now, if he was admitting this, and he's not the kind of person to admit things, to make up stories to make people feel better, trust me. But, you know, it made me wonder, you know, maybe just because I can't perceive things with my senses or measure it with my instrument, maybe they can still exist. Mm-hmm. So that's when I started devouring the same kind of books that you devoured also. But then the second thing that happened was my personal experience. I know I've had so many, Susan.
Yep.
I guess it was about a week after he died. My second eldest daughter and I were going to his room. And just before I rounded the corner, Michelle got a sense of Eric's presence. She could pick up on his energy. They were very, very close, had a big connection. And so she grabbed a digital camera that happened to be on the table in the room next to the hallway, started snapping pictures. And one of the pictures was this bright orb with a comet's tail. Now, that would imply, obviously, movement. So, of course, being the scientist, I decided to have it analyzed. And a photography expert did all sorts of things, put filters and so on. And he said that when he took all the gamma out, it revealed that it was his own light source. In fact, you can see it lighting up nearby structures. So, it made me wonder, wow, maybe Eric is still alive somewhere. But it took me 4 years before I was 100% convinced because, in a way, Susan, I didn't really want to believe. I was scared to believe. I don't know if people can relate to that. I mean, it seemed like a mother would want their child to be alive, but I was afraid that I would find out that it was all nonsense, and then it would be like losing him again.
Yeah, no, I totally understand that. Totally understand it. And, several other people, it seems to me, in the book you talk about, other people sensed him, saw him, felt him. Isn't that right? Friends, family members?
Oh, yes. Some of my children have actually seen him sitting in the front seat of the car, probably trying to get shotgun. You know how it is with kids. Shotgun.
Yeah. He wanted that front seat still.
He wanted the front seat. That's right.
Well, he describes in the book how he comes and visits his family. I thought it was so touching that he went to everyone and then he came to you last. And I think you were so close. I think that was probably a little tough for him in terms of the connection with you, or maybe concerned about how you were doing in your grieving. But I thought that was touching, the way he describes it. He started, with your father. He started with all these people, and then you were the person that he came to last for that reason.
Yes, that makes me cry every time I read that section. It's just so heart-wrenching and heartwarming at the same time. It seems like a lot of feedback I'm getting from people is that they do cry and laugh throughout the book. So it really evokes an emotional, visceral response in a lot of people.
Yes, it does. It's a beautiful book. And I cried in that section because I'm a mother, and I totally got where you were and where he was and how close the two of you are. And so it seems so fitting that you have taken this on and you have found a channel to, for him to speak through and then write the book. You've written the book. So I know that you were the person that needed to do this.
Yeah, I was painful parts of the book, especially when I had to transcribe the parts about his death.
Yep.
That was excruciatingly painful for me because there were details I didn't know, and I didn't really want to know very many details.
Of course.
But after that, and after he crosses over, after he visits his funeral, etc., it just becomes this joyous adventure. And so the book in the end is a happy book, a book of hope.
Yes, it is. It's a beautiful book, and it gives people hope whose loved ones have transitioned, and they can read the book and feel hopeful about where their loved ones are, and in terms of their grief, they can move through it and heal. So we have to take a break, but we're going to be right back with Elisa Medhus and her beautiful, beautiful book about her son Eric. We'll be right back.
Chris Stanis is a spiritual leader and healer and teaches a course on how you can transform your life through a meditation and healing system that will manifest your spirit's dreams. She manifested the Women of Wisdom Conference, the Women of Wisdom book, and this radio show. And she can show you how to change your life too. Are you ready? Visit the website and contact her at voicesofwomentoday.com. That's voicesofwomentoday.com.
Tired of traditional talk? People pontificating about this or that, the left or the right. Sometimes the truth is just all lost in the noise. Tune in each week to Straight Talk with Chuck Gallagher on TransformationTalkRadio.com, Mondays at 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern, as nationally known guests talk about what's important to you, your life, your concerns, and your success. Tune in and turn on to Straight Talk with Chuck Gallagher. Visit ChuckGallagher.com for more information.
Do you want to transform your life's trauma and challenges into the gift that your life was meant to be? It's time for you to take control of your soul journey to heal, grow, and shine. Manifest your destiny with Wendy Wolf, soul transformer, energy, and psychic healer. To start your soul journey, contact Wendy at healgrowshine.com or email Wendy at wendy@wendyrwolf.com and start your adventure today.
How would you like increased health and vitality? How would you like to avoid the onset of disease as well as slow the aging process? This is all possible through a simple, safe, and natural process. Every day we are either moving toward wellness or away from wellness.
Hi, I'm Mary Jane Mack. I'd like to be your partner in achieving optimal health. Contact me now at maryjanemack.com or call 425-392-0659. Visit maryjanemack.com.
Artie Hoffman is the hottest psychic with the warmest heart and the host of the hit show Angels and Answers. A renowned psychic, medium, spiritual life coach, and an entertaining motivational speaker, Artie has helped over 15,000 people with his amazing intuitive gifts, his passion, and his humor. Call 877-ANGEL-02 to schedule a personal reading or to have your own psychic Artie party. That's 877-ANGEL-02. And visit artiehoffman.com and Angels and Answers on Facebook.
The following audio is via a Skype call.
Welcome back, everyone, to We Carry the Light. This is Dr. Susan, and I'm here with a wonderful author, Dr. Elisa Medhus, who's written My Life After Death, a memoir from heaven. Actually, her son Eric has written it and channeled his message, and she has produced this incredible book giving us his message about being in heaven and what happens there. So I think where we left off was just talking about how he appeared to your children, how he showed up in various ways, and sometimes quite humorously. And I love that. I loved his humor. I loved how natural he is. He's just totally his own character. How was that for you when these messages started coming through? I mean, was it obvious this was Eric?
Oh, yes. Before he had developed bipolar disease, he was always just a little rascal, a little mischievous grin on his face all the time, pulling little pranks on his siblings. They just loved that. And he continued to do that with us. He would turn on water faucets while we watched in disbelief. He would make appliances work that were unplugged. He would create airsoft BBs at the ceiling, and they would just drop to the floor. We don't even have airsoft guns, so that was just really remarkable. He will create horrible smells, never perfume, never roses. They're always just awful. And he talks about in the book how he does all these different pranks.
Well, talk about that.
Well, now he well, let me just tell you one. An apportment is when you create when they put something physical in our dimensional plane. The way he does it is he uses the energy signature of, say, the airsoft BB, and then he lowers its energy until it arrives in the visible part of the electromagnetic spectrum, that denser, low vibrational energy, so that it manifests as matter. And he does these things to blog members all the time. I can't tell you how many hundreds of stories I have from blog members of him visiting them, pulling all sorts of pranks, getting them into all sorts of trouble, and some of them are they defy explanation.
So I'm wondering about some of the messages that you've gotten from him and how perhaps his channeling, coming through, talking to you and other people that he loves, what are some of the messages? And has all of this changed you, particularly your spiritual beliefs, practice?
Oh, yes. It has made me, I think, a better person. My world is bigger. I have this more expanded awareness. I understand why we have the human experience, why we're here. And I feel hope. I know that he's not gone, and that we don't really lose anybody. I think the most important message, well, there are several, of course, but I'll give you a couple of them that he seems to harp on. He gets on his soapbox and talks about, is the fact that we are emotional beings, not just human beings. In other words, I'm not saying we're emotional, get all, teary-eyed. We are made of emotion. It's like we're sentient, emotional energy that's self-aware. Yeah. And, of course, emotional, like everything, is a form of energy. But for some reason, we use our logical brain, and we think first. We produce a thought. We let that produce an emotion, and that emotion we use to create a reaction or a choice. It should be the other way around. We need to be aware of our feelings. What are we feeling inside? Produce that, sense that emotion. Then let that emotion craft a thought, and then that thought can be used to create a reaction or a choice of some sort. Mm-hmm. So we just need to flip it around a little bit. Yes. Another thing he talks about is the importance of emotional honesty. So much is about emotions with him, it really is. But being emotionally honest with yourself first and foremost, and that takes being aware of what you're feeling. Yep. And of course, being emotionally honest with others, too.
Yes. No, I love his messages. The one that you talked about was one of my favorites. Is on page 140 of the book. Our emotions are made of energy, so humans have to be in that emotional awareness and open space to make it easier to communicate with spirits. He says the courage to be emotionally open and honest, hearing, seeing, dreaming, whatever it is for us to connect. And he wants us to be in our emotions more. And also on page 62, he talks about the importance of forgiving ourselves and others. And so many messages like that. And the other one is about that there is no separation, that we think we're separate, but we're really all one, and that's all that you feel there in heaven is this love and this unity and oneness.
That's right. Separation is just an illusion that we create for ourselves so that we can have the human experience. That's right. He says that we're here to learn that we are love and to remember how to love. And that takes establishing some sort of contrast in your life. So before we incarnate, we might say want to learn about forgiveness, which is a facet of love, of course. And so we'll have to have a separate soul, betray us, for example. And so you have to have that duality in earth in order to learn about forgiveness. So there's where the separation comes in. It's very important. It's like you really can't understand the concept of hot unless you experience cold. So unfortunately, that contrast can be very painful and can create all sorts of struggles sometimes, but it's just so valuable.
That's right. That's right. No, I love so much that he says about, he said in heaven, here we don't have the illusion of separation like humans struggle with. Separation is what creates loneliness. And he goes on to talk about so many emotions like embarrassment and judgment and jealousy, etc. And it's incredible. His teachings can help us become better people, as you said that they have helped you do that.
Yes, I'm still a work in progress, though.
Yeah.
So.
We all are. It's like one of my teachers said, this is spiritual graduate school. And we are definitely in school. And, we keep learning and, we go ahead and then drop back and go ahead and then learn this lesson. And it's all about progress rather than perfection, though.
There we go. Perfectly said.
Progress, not perfection. So you also wrote a first book, My Son in the Afterlife. And it's interesting, I haven't read that one, but how do they differ, the two books?
Well, that's a good question. The first book is more about my journey from skeptic to believer, and boy, was that a rough journey. Of course, in that, he also shares a lot of information about death, the afterlife, what it's like to be a spirit, big concepts like time, God, love, etc. But it's mostly about my journey through all this and how I've grown. This one is all him. It's about his journey, and he did evolve after his death and still continues to.
That's right. It's not over, is it?
No.
It's never over. And we just keep, like I asked the spiritual teacher once when I was struggling, when is this going to be over? She goes, honey, it isn't. And you're going to keep transitioning and growing even after you don't have a body. So just, be patient and try to cope as best you can.
I know. And we are eternal beings, so it might take a while, huh?
It takes a while. Yeah. And so I'm also interested, and we may get started on this and have to take a break, but I'm interested in Jamie Butler. I'm interested in how you found her, and I know she became you call her your spirit translator, the channel. Start telling us about that process, and then
sure.
we may need to finish it after the break.
Sure. Well, I'll be as brief as I can, but
sure.
A blog member recommended her, and so I booked a session. She didn't know anything but my name, but the first thing she said was, "Your son is here," and he said he took his life. And she didn't even know I had a son, much less one that committed suicide. And she went on to describe where he was at the time, that he was sitting at his desk, that he used a gun, what kind of gun it was. She gave the exact description. I mean, really detailed description of his clothing. And she also was able to convey that personality that you and I have been talking about, that salty language and the mischievousness. She had a little hard time with dropping F-bombs, though, I'm telling you. It was really tough on her. But she's been just so accurate. She's amazingly gifted.
She must be. She must be because of all the detail. I mean, that to me, the detail is amazing. And that's probably what stunned you, was how much detail she shared.
Oh, gosh, yes. Yeah.
Yep. So we're going to take a break, but we're going to be right back with Elisa, Medhus, and My Life After Death.
I'm gonna make a change for once in my life. It's gonna feel real good. Gonna make a difference. Gonna make it right.
The preceding audio was via a Skype call.
We spend nearly a third of our life on the astral plane. Why not leverage it? Go deeper and learn more with Lynn Brown and Wendy R. Wolf. Join us at the Debuta Playhouse and Cafe in Bellevue, August 11th from 6 to 7 p.m. for basic tools and 7 to 9 p.m. for astral body basics. For more information, email lynn@letteruintuit.com or visit the website at letteruintuit.com.
Tune in to Prescience Life Radio with host Mia Simone. Mia is devoted to sharing her extensive knowledge on the invisible worlds of energy. Join Mia and discover the science of intuition and connect with your greatest gift. Start living in your potential today and every day by opening up to the power of inner knowledge. To learn more about Mia, visit presciencelife.com.
Become a self-actualized professional coach, mentor, and leader, and make your difference in the world. The Rainer Institute has trained people from 4 continents and is the top-rated, accredited coach platform in the world. You'll learn skills from a program created by Mark Rainer as a result of 35 years of research as to what actually works for positive, lasting change. Come if you dare and give your life a chance at making the difference it so desires. Visit RainerInstitute.com to learn more.
Transformation Talk Radio is dedicated to the education and awareness of Lyme disease.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Lyme Talk Radio. I'm Dr. Pat, joined here by
Dr. Nusheen Darvish.
Dr. Pat Basili and Dr. Nusheen Darvish will be bringing the most innovative, groundbreaking information, research, treatment innovations, and stories from those it affects every day.
I'm so excited to be talking about this.
We have so much to share.
Dr. Darvish and I are planning to do is connect the dots.
People suffering with all sorts of chronic diseases, it's time. It is time for them to transform.
Tune into Lyme Talk Radio and help keep our mission strong.
For the loyal listeners out there that have been listening to this incredible show on Lyme disease, we are not going to let you down. We're going to come through stronger and enrich the platform for Lyme disease awareness through Lyme Talk Radio. The message will continue, the conversations will become stronger, and the healing epic.
The following audio is via a Skype call.
Wow, Betty, great music. You have me dancing here again. When you play music like that, I tend to do my radio show standing up.
It's
and
perfect.
I'm barefoot
It's perfect,
and
yep. Mm-hmm.
Barefoot and dancing. That was fantastic.
Ooh,
I love that.
Barefoot and Dancing. That's a great title for a new song. You should create one.
I am a songwriter. Maybe I'll write a song called Barefoot.
Write it down. Don't lose that. Don't forget
I won't.
it.
I have to record it right away or I lose my songs.
Perfect.
So anyway, Benny's the greatest. I just want to say that. He's our engineer here, and thank you so much. And also I'm here with Elisa Medhus and her book, My Life After Death, a memoir from heaven. It's really her son, Eric, who is writing this book. And say a little bit more, especially for people who are just tuning in, about Jamie Butler. And she was the channel, and Eric spoke through her, and that's how you wrote the book.
Jamie is one of the most gifted mediums I've ever met. There are a lot of bad ones out there, so people have to be very careful, just like there are a lot of bad doctors out there. But she has just been so amazingly accurate, and I've had sessions with her maybe 1 to 2 times a month since really shortly after Eric died. So she's been my boy's voice. Now, they have a great relationship together, too. It's like a pestery little brother and a big sister type relationship. And he teases her all the time, pulls pranks on her all the time, and she fusses at him, so it's delightful. But she also has grown from his insight, his messages.
Yeah, I'll bet that she has.
And now she's trying to rebrand herself as a spiritual teacher, teaching about all matters spiritual with a science bent to it. So she's just an absolutely wonderful, brilliant teacher.
Fantastic. You know, you also mentioned earlier that people on your blog who come and read your blog and so forth, that they have had messages from Eric and so on. Say something about your blog and also about how people can contact you, maybe be part of your blog community, see if there's any other books, how they can get your books. Just talk a little bit about all that.
Sure. Well, the blog I started really just to help me vent my grief, and I heal better when I help others. So providing other people with a place to vent their own pain was just the perfect fit for me. And it's such a close and supportive and loving community, and it's gotten huge, absolutely huge. It's www.channelingeric.com, and Eric is spelled with a K. But the blog members have received so much help from Eric. It's just been so fulfilling. Now, the 2 books My Son and the Afterlife, Conversations from the Other Side, and his book, My Life After Death, A Memoir from Heaven, are available really where any books are sold, online and in the brick-and-mortar stores as well.
Hello.
Are you there?
Yeah, no, I keep kind of losing you. So
okay. I just
you're here
talking.
now.
I didn't have anything else intelligent to say. Maybe that's why.
I think you're doing great. So I wanted to also talk about parts of the book that I loved when he talks about heaven. He talks about, like manifesting whatever you want. You just sort of feel it and think it, and it appears, like a house. And I love that there are animals there. So can you talk a little bit about heaven as he describes it? Maybe he talks to God. I mean, share some of the things that Eric talks about.
Sure. Well, I could start out with his description of heaven. One of the first things he realized was how different the colors were, that there are colors there that don't exist on Earth. And the colors are high definition, extremely vivid, and they almost have a life unto themselves. Sound is everywhere, too. You feel the sound in your entire energetic body, and the sound is just beautiful. He talks about how things are different. Say a tree, for example. The bark seems alive, and the trees make sounds, and you can communicate to the trees. You feel this oneness with them. Same with the animals. You can telepathically communicate with all the wildlife there, including your own pets that have crossed over. You can communicate to them. So be good to them now, please. Be good. Change their water bowl every day. And he talks about meeting God. There came a point in his spirit life when he was happy, except for one thing. He still knew we were here on earth just grieving so deeply. And he didn't know what to do about it. Really, there was nothing he could do more than he was already. And so that's when he asked to talk to God. Now, what he learned from that is, first of all, that God is genderless. It's neither female nor male. And God is all there is. It's everything. We are whole and part of God. He describes it, I don't think it's in the book, but in the blog, he describes it as like a hologram necklace that you've seen, maybe the one with that we had in the 70s or so, where we had the skull and the holographic skull on a piece of glass hanging from a leather. If you have a picture of yourself on that, and then you smash the glass and you examine each shard, you'll see the entire picture of yourself on each shard. So it's like that. We are whole, we are God, and we are also part of God. God is light, God is energy, and there is nothing separate from it. That's why there can't be any hell, because that would require it to be separate from God, and there is no separation, because source energy, God, whatever you want to call it, prime source, is everything. And it was just an amazing feeling of unconditional love, the kind that he said would bring him to his knees weeping. He had never felt like that on earth before.
Beautiful. Yeah, I love it. Love it.
He talks about his jobs, if you want to talk about that. I know on the break you said you did.
Yeah,
Eric,
let's talk a minute about God a little longer, just because I love this, and if anybody wants to try to understand God, which is so abstract and all-knowing and omnipotent and omnipresent and all those things that are hard for us as humans to understand, page 132 in this book, My Life After Death, talks about God. And it's just beautiful. God came to me in a form of pure light and energy, and describing this meeting with God and the feeling, and it's a beautiful description, and it feels so true to me. So I wanted just to put a plug in for the book, and anybody that is listening to read this, that'll help you understand what God is. So yes, jobs in heaven, that also fascinated me.
Yes, Eric found out that he had designed a spiritual contract for himself to come to Earth, to be incarnated, and have a miserable, miserable time, to develop bipolar disease, to suffer from learning disabilities and, Tourette's, or a form of Tourette's. And he did this because he wanted to develop the skills to become a better spirit guide, the listening skills, the deep sense of compassion, and so forth. And that's what happened. I asked him, why couldn't he have just learned all that and died when he was 80 years old? But no, he said he couldn't have been miserable that long, and so I had to let him go. Now, he says that spirit guides are very common. They're like taxi cab drivers in New York. They're that common. And he nudges. His job is to nudge human beings into the right direction. Unlike angels, they're not able to interfere. Unlike archangels, who interfere on a more global, in a more global way, they can only nudge and influence and suggest. For example, he might subliminally leave a message in somebody's mind, or he might have a certain website come up on the computer, things of that nature. And he loves it. I'll tell you a recent story. This happened just a couple of days ago. A medium that I also have used, Kim Babcock, contacted me and said that she had a client, a sitter, come in, a boy about 20 years old, like Eric was when he died. And he seemed to be happy-go-lucky, really curious about, channeling his long-lost relatives. I'm not sure what he came in for. But all of a sudden, Eric pops into the session and says, dude, don't kill yourself. And the guy just started sobbing. Now, this took Kim aback because there was no evidence in this guy's demeanor, facial expression, or what he said that would have implied that he was suicidal. And after the session was over with, he talked with Eric for a long time. After it was over with, as he was leaving, he said, you just saved my life today. And he came back the next day to share in the fact that he was on this new spiritual journey, that he's never been happier. And then his mother comes in also, just so thankful that her son had been saved. So it's just, I find it just so overwhelming and surreal that this has just gotten to be so powerful and so big, Susan? And
yes,
stories
huge.
Like this just mean that
huge.
his death was not a tragic waste. So it gives a mother comfort.
It gives you so much comfort. It gives us all comfort that Eric and my husband and all of the beings who've crossed over are still growing and still being of service. And I see that with Eric. Gosh, he saved someone's life recently. I mean, he's intervening. He's trying to help people be on their path. And, and he says he really has learned about his job. His job as a spirit is teaching him that true passion and self-love drives happiness, not wealth or prestige or anything else. That it's love and happiness that should be the things that motivate us and that we're all about on this journey. So we have to take a break. We'll be right back, though, with Elisa Medhus and My Life After Death.
The preceding audio was via a Skype call.
Have you been seeing numbers like 111 and 222 everywhere you go? Do you feel that the universe may be trying to get your attention, perhaps offering a message of some sort? As it turns out, numerical patterns and certain types of geometry form the very fabric of our reality, from cells under a microscope to the astronomy of our night sky. At Stellar Reflections, we offer special sessions which tap into these patterns, designed specifically to support you on your journey. The 111 and 222 activations are sessions activating new patterns in your energy field, which in turn can help you create new patterns in your life. After just one session with a practitioner, either in person or via distance, Clients report gaining greater clarity, becoming more intuitive, and honoring their inner truth as they move forward in their lives. Curious about what these transformational sessions might do for you? Call 425-999-9836 or visit stellarreflections.com. That's stellarreflections.com.
Holistic Medical Center is where you find it all. A healthy space with doctors who care, see, and listen to the whole you. Hi, this is Dr. Darvish. If you have not found an answer to your chronic symptoms, you will find answers here at Holistic Medical Center. Our doctors find the root cause of your symptoms and guide your body towards healing naturally. We transform lives from within. Visit drdarvish.com or call 425-451-0404.
Calling all dreamers. Are you living your dream life? Actualize your possibilities with Life Coaching Radio and your host, Deb Stetzer. If you're feeling stuck in a rut, Deb is here to help you turn your dreams into a reality. Life Coaching Radio. Dream it, live it, be it. To learn more about Deb, visit www.mylifecoach.us.
Enlightening, humorous, and compassionate. Listen live to The Kelly Ballard Show, insight and inspiration from the great beyond. Kelly is a fourth-generation medium and intuitive who covers topics ranging from grief, spirit guides, and listening to your intuition. Kelly can help you get answers and guidance from the other side with a little bit of humor and a lot of healing. Tune in to The Kelly Ballard Show, Thursdays at 1 p.m. Pacific Time here on TransformationTalkRadio.com.
Tune in to The Jen Royster Show, intuitive guidance to inspire your life, each Thursday at 8 a.m. Pacific and 11 a.m. Eastern on TransformationTalkRadio.com. This amazing show is an inspirational hour that will take you on an epic metaphysical journey to discover the spiritual approach to life's greatest challenges. Dr. Jen is an internationally known intuitive counselor, spiritual teacher, and energy healer. Call in for intuitive readings and visit JenRoyster.com for more information.
The following audio is via a Skype call.
Like resignation to the end, always the end. So when we found that we could not make sense.
Welcome back to We Carry the Light. This is Dr. Susan. I'm here with Dr. Elisa Medhus, who's written My Life After Death, a memoir from heaven, and it's her son Eric who is speaking in the book. It's his personality exactly, telling us what heaven is like and giving us a lot of wisdom about how to live our lives here. So is there anything else, Elisa, that you want to share about that Eric wants for us, or anything about communicating with our loved ones who've crossed over?
Well, this is one of the big lessons I learned, is that just because somebody dies does not mean that we stop having a relationship with them, because really, Susan, they're just the same. They just don't happen to have a body, and they're in a parallel dimension to ours, and in fact, they also don't happen to have the mental and physical elements that may have plagued that body in life. So there are ways to communicate. You can use a medium, hopefully a very gifted one like Jamie Butler, or you can do other simple things. One thing that Eric taught me is that if you listen to something called binaural beats with a frequency of about 14 to 16 hertz, then that can open your mind to hear or even see your loved ones. And you can get that on iTunes and I'm sure other places, but you have to wear earphones. I tried it, and it was like incoming. My mother came through, my deceased sister came through, Eric came through, so it was quite amazing. You can also get simpler, do something simpler too, and play something that Eric taught me called the hand game. What you do is you take your two hands, palms up, spread apart so they're not really close together, and you designate one as your yes and one as your no. Then you ask, obviously, a yes or no question to your loved one, like, are you doing okay? And then you wait until you get a different sensation in one hand. You might feel like somebody's blowing on your palm. You might feel a change in temperature, a change in pressure, numbness, tingling, any sort of physical sensation. If you don't right away, then you might have to encourage, because some spirits are not very good at doing this. So you might have to say, come on, make it stronger, until you're satisfied that there is an answer.
I love
and
that.
And you could just talk. I just talk to Eric, especially when I'm in the bathtub. Have to be in the bathtub. And I hear his voice right behind my right ear. And sometimes it fades in and out in my own voice, but that's okay. I know it's Eric, because it seems like it doesn't come from me. It seems like it comes out of the blue. And I think that's the key thing. When it seems to come out of the blue, then it's probably not one of your thoughts. It's probably your loved one communicating with you.
I agree. I think that's great. It's interesting you're in the bathtub. I'm in my hot tub. And
there we go.
So I don't know whether it's water, but also, if I'm riding my bike, if I am in the car without any radio on, it's like I've lost that cognitive brain chatter, the beta chatter in my brain, and I'm on kind of automatic pilot, or I'm gardening. Tom, my husband, talks to me in my garden a lot. One day I was looking at the blossoms on the peach tree, and I kind of said, I think I talk out loud to him too. I think I said, wow, I wish you could see these blossoms. And right away I heard, hey, I can see them. I'm right here. Are you going to make jam this year?
Oh.
So my husband's very funny, like Eric. And so, like, if I bump my head, I'll hear, did it knock any sense into you? He says these silly things all the time. And, it's like I'll say, hey, are you there? What's going on? He has his own little, hey, you, or what's up, or he has his own language, and I don't speak that way, and so I know it's Tom.
Exactly. So they don't want to be forgotten either. They want the relationship to continue. It's so weird how after the funeral all the doors are shut, the lines are cut, and that's it. But it doesn't have to be that way. And fortunately, science is sort of bridging the gap, and we're beginning to learn things like the fact that the soul is made of neutrino particles, the fact that the soul is tethered to the body and the hollow spaces of microtubules in each cell. I mean, science is helping us make this go from paranormal to normal. It's not going to be woo-woo anymore. There's science behind this now. It reminds me of when we thought the Earth was flat, and then it took so long and so much ridicule and people were thrown in prison, I think, when they suggested that the Earth was round. And it reminds me of Arthur Schopenhauer's wonderful quote that truth goes through three phases. First, it's ridiculed, then it's scorned, and I've been through both of those, and eventually it's accepted as self-evident. And I think spirituality is going through those phases, just like that we went through when we evolved from thinking the Earth was flat to knowing it's round.
I love that, Elisa. That's so brilliant, because I said to my publisher recently I was nervous about being attacked by fundamentalists because I'm talking about being able to go to a level of heaven now. And what they said to me, though, is Christianity especially has become so much more progressive that it's not going to happen. But it did happen with my first book back in 2001 on divorce, that I was attacked on a radio show, actually on a live TV show, for not following God's word in the Bible. So I feel like things are progressing, that not just scientifically, but people's consciousness is expanding, and people are realizing more and more and more that we are energy. And I'm so grateful to the quantum physicists in the world for finally being listened to after all these Newtonian materialists forever.
Exactly.
So grateful. So we have to end, and I hate to. I've loved this. It's been fantastic. You're fantastic, and this book is awesome. Please, listeners, get this book, My Life After Death, A Memoir from Heaven. And Elisa, many blessings to you.
Many blessings to you, too. Thank you for everything that you do.
Thank you. And thank you, my expansive listeners, for being here and making time for your own growth. Next week, enjoy Cindy Griffith Bennett, who will help soothe your soul with her lovely meditations.
You've been listening to the transformative show, We Carry the Light, with host Dr. Susan Allison, the show that inspires you to find the light within and shine your light in the world. Who are you right now, and who do you want to be? What is it that makes you happy, helps you feel fulfilled, and living your purpose? Tune in every Thursday, 10 a.m. Pacific, and let Dr. Susan help you discover that you carry the unique light that only you can shine.